All right, welcome to week 8, Farm to Table. How's everybody doing? Nice to see you. Good, thumbs up. Like to see that. Okay, so let us first open up the topic of anybody that has made the offal, any experience that they would like to share, whether it be positive or negative or indifferent. Let's hear from you. How did you like it? We're and learning about offal. Okay, let's be a little bit more, let's critique something in a better way, right? Saying something is gross, okay, or hating the smell, that's fine, that will happen. But what don't you like about it? What makes it gross for you? Is it the taste? Is it the consistency? We need to be more analytical about how we describe food, right? Just like saying it was great, the smell was amazing. Well, but what about it? So let's start to be more chef-like in our ways of how we talk about food. All right, it's really important. We've got some people. Some people loved it. Some people didn't like it. Okay, was this the first time that some people have ever cooked liver or offal in general? Yeah, the brandy definitely does help. It adds a lot of flavor. It actually adds a touch of sweetness to it, that nuance. Okay. Anything else?
I'm actually a fan of liverwurst.
Oh,
So
me
it's this
too.
process very similar to it.
Yeah, I love liverwurst. Liverwurst with some fresh onions. Let me pull up a picture of liverwurst so that everybody knows what we're talking about in case somebody doesn't. Patrick, are you in the Midwest?
No, I'm on the West Coast. I'm in Arizona.
Oh,
But
okay.
my
We
mother is from Netherlands. She came over on the boat when she was 7, and something I grew up with was eating liverwurst with crackers.
Yeah, okay. I grew up with that as well, but I think partially due to my Irish heritage, but more importantly, I'm from the Midwest. So everybody, this is what liverwurst looks like, and it is exactly that. Liver, wurst is a sausage. Okay, it actually should be called liver best because it's delicious. And as you can see, as Patrick was saying, there are a lot of similarities to that consistency, right? Really smooth pate where you're taking liver and you're processing it in a way to change the texture. So this is liverwurst, popular all around the world, which is essentially a pate. Awesome. Chef, anything that you would like to talk about?
I did see a lot of good work this week. Just remember that this was a couple of day process, and every step of that, especially the long ones, are done in there for a reason, like the soaking in milk. If we just soaked it in milk for an hour or we soaked it in milk for 12, 16 hours, it's going to be a huge difference in flavor at the end of that, especially when after cooking and you get into the processing, the puree of it. If you let that set overnight, it's going to taste immensely, immensely better than if you just pureed it and tried it. It needs a chance to be able to collect itself. It needs a chance to be able to build back its own consistency. The texture, of course, is much better, but the flavor as well. It has time to set in itself, and it is going to be a lot better. So if for any reason you didn't like it, it's completely understandable. But just think about why you didn't like it, and think about all those steps that you went through. Did maybe you shortened a cleaning step? Was there some pieces that had a sinew on there? That's going to add bitterness to it. If we didn't go through all those rinsing stages, we have blood that's been sitting essentially. So if we didn't do that initial rinse and we went right into the milk, you're having all that byproduct go directly into your milk. Again, that's going to add bitterness to it. So just always think about the processes. If you like something or you don't like something, cooking is a lot about processes. Whether you're making a vinaigrette, whether you're making pate, so think about the steps in the processes, and then also think about the steps of why they're there. Why would it say to temper egg yolks to make a mayonnaise? Because protein strands are going to be like fists, but if they're warm, they're going to open up. When they open up, it's going to be a lot easier to get an emulsification. So just always think of why it would say let it chill overnight, let it sit for 12 hours, let it soak in milk for a day. Whatever that is, just think about the why behind all that.
Awesome. Thank you, Chef. Yeah, constantly asking yourself the why. A fantastic book, if anybody likes the science aspects of culinary arts, right? Which is, when we think about it, every action, every time we're cooking. Chef was just talking about emulsifications and proteins and how they work, right? Remember that term, the Maillard reaction, right? Where that you get that deep color. So the book is called On Food and Cooking by Harold McGee. It's dense. It's old school, but if you ever really want to get down into that nitty gritty of the science and the understanding of why, Harold McGee on Food and Cooking has been around for a long time, and it's what I used as during my time in culinary school. It's a great place if you really want to start to understand those different reasonings behind why things happen. Even adding spices or garlic. What happens if you add garlic too early in your cooking process? What can happen to that garlic? Thoughts,
It
experience.
becomes more bitter.
Bitter, bingo, you got it exactly. That is exactly correct, Patrick. So that's why it's important to know when and how to add your garlic. Same goes for what happens if you add your spices too early. Anybody know?
It burns.
Can burn. Yep. What else?
It actually cooks the flavor out.
You got it. Yeah, flavors can leave. Remember, spices have what are called volatile oils, okay? That's where when you're smelling a spice, you're actually smelling those volatile, right, oils. You're smelling that. It is really important that you know how to use them and when to use them, because otherwise they can become soft or really strong. They can become bitter when you add too much heat to them. Those are great observations and good things. I'm just going to put in that title. That's the book, On Food and Cooking by Howard McGee. That should be it. So the importance of why we do what and when, right? Soaking it, letting things rest. We're going to be making confit next week. And again, it's another day process where you have to salt your meat and season it before you cook it. Okay, so there are reasons behind every step. Okay, why in some cultures do you wash the rice? Okay, or soak the rice first before cooking it? Why do we soak beans before cooking them unless we're using an alternative method? Why do you let meat rest after cooking it, coming in high heat? Why? Why do we let meat rest? Steak, chicken, poultry, any type of, yeah, Dawn.
To get the juices.
I heard, so the juice is set, and Dawn, you were muted. What did you say?
To get the juices of the meat.
Sorry, one sec.
When you cook the meat, the juices spread out. So you let it cool so it can condense a little on the meat.
Yes, exactly. The juices redistribute, okay? If you cut immediately into a steak, right, after you've just pulled it out of the pan and you slice in, those juices are going to release really quickly, okay? You want to let it set. You want those juices to redistribute, then you slice, okay? Why do you let bread rest before slicing into it?
To allow the structure to build completely.
Yep, exactly. Otherwise, if you start slicing early, guess what? It's going to start getting mushy in that middle, okay? It needs to finish its cooling time. There are reasons behind everything. Why do we just did this in week 6. Why is it called for waxy potatoes, not starchy potatoes, right? Why do we cook and parboil or blanch before sauteing in restaurants? There's reasons behind everything, okay? So, and it improves the texture. The goal and reasons behind all of the little things that take time are flavor and texture, all right? Which are two of the most important things when it comes to food. Of course, seasoning and taste, et cetera, but flavor and texture, right? All right. All right. The comment about slicing cake every time because you just are so excited about getting it. So now you make extra. Smart move. Good stuff. All right, class. So let's hop into
Do the
Yeah.
ones that you know.
6 divided by.
all right. All right. So let us hop into week 8. Give the rundown on this, and then we have some stuff to talk about. All right. So here we are. You all know the drill at this point. Oh, let's use this second to really mention, hey, makeups. If you're missing something, let's get it in. It's week 8. Don't wait. All right. You don't want to wait till week 10. You don't want to wait till week 11. You don't want to wait till week 12. All right. If you're missing something, let's knock that out now. Again, we were talking about reducing stress before. That's another stress reducer. Take something off your plate. Knock it out. Be done. Get that grade up, okay? Those makeup assignments can be the difference between an A and a B, okay? A C and a D and F, all right? Don't miss the opportunity. All right, cool. So the topic for this week is 'Tis the Season, seasonal eating. Obviously, there is a little rundown. Oh, where did that go? Hold on. Here we go. Your little blurb about the rise of seasonal cuisine, seasonal variances, et cetera, okay? And your seasons. When are you getting food? So you will be choosing 3 of the 4 recipes to execute this week, all right? 3 of these, which we will be covering all of them. The bechamel recipe is needed in order to make the gratin. Okay, bechamel is not something you buy in the store. It is something you make. Does anybody remember what bechamel is? Or why it's important, especially in the kitchen of Escoffier?
It's a mother sauce.
Bingo, mother sauce. That's right. Nice job. Yeah, exactly. All right. So you need to know how to make this. You should know how to make this. And does anybody remember or recall the word Mornay? M-O-R-N-A-Y. Mornay sauce. Does anybody know what Mornay sauce is? It's okay if you don't.
Mornay cheese?
Mornay is cheese. Yes, a cheese sauce. You've taken bechamel, so it's a derivative. Mornay is a derivative of, it's like I like to joke and say a child sauce. You've got the mother sauces, 5 mother sauces, right? Bechamel being one of them. You can make a Mornay sauce by adding cheese, okay? How do you make a great mac and cheese? You use Mornay, all right? In a lot of restaurants, you'll see that technique, right? You've got roux, you've got milk, then you're adding cheese. Mornay sauce, all right? Okay, so you will need to convert this recipe for the required amount, or you can make the full batch, although it's a big batch, and use the rest of the bechamel for something else. Okay, so I will want to stop this for a second and talk to you all. So it's winter, right? It's sunny in some people's areas. It's not sunny in other areas. Does anybody know what's in season? Is anybody who's on screen right now that's from somewhere in the northern region of the United States? Northeast, Midwest, northern. Anybody?
Root vegetables?
Root vegetables. Yeah, okay. What else is in season? What type of fruit is in season now in the winter?
Apple.
Okay, so interesting you said apples, right? So are apples currently being harvested right now?
Mhm.
Yes or no?
I don't know.
Okay, that's okay. No, this is why we're having the conversation. Remember what we said in the beginning of the class? No right or wrong answers. This is what we want. So apples are very unique in the fact that they are available year round. How are apples available year round?
They
It's a
store
very
them.
harder tree.
They store them. Yes, it's called cold storage. So a lot of fruits and vegetables get put in a thing called cold storage, where they've removed oxygen and they lower the temperature so that it stops maturation. It stops the whether it be an apple or potato from ripening more, maturing, and then decomposing. So they remove out the variables and you stay in a really cold place. So most apples, unless you're getting them at the farmer's market, during fall harvest time, you're eating apples from possibly a year ago. Yet they maintain a good consistency, texture, etc. That's how we have the availability to get these fruits and vegetables that normally are not around. Because guess what? Most locations in the winter, what's available? Are there fruits growing when it's snowing out? No. They're not. Okay. So who wants to be, let's see, who wants to say which state they are living in? And we're going to put this into a little cool website that's going to tell us what's available.
Florida.
All right. So Florida's an interesting one. Let's do it. We'll do Florida for right now. 1 second. Let me pull this up. There are a few sites that can be beneficial for this, but you should really know what's going on. Do you know what's in season in Florida right now?
I know what's not.
Okay, that also helps.
Okay, I know that avocado is not, mango is not. Let's see.
Well, that's
I'm not sure about the others.
That's okay. That's a great start. It's good to know what's not in season, right? What happens when products are in season? The price goes down. What happens when they're out of season? Price goes up and flavor and texture change. So this is currently, according to this website, what is available in Florida in late January. So you've got quite a lot of things, right? You've got those cruciferous vegetables are coming up, right? Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower. You still have some chilies, chives, celery root, right? Some herbs, greens, corn, citrus, okay? Some great stuff. You've got jicama coming in, kohlrabi, wonderful stuff, actually, okay? I'm ready to move to Florida if winter can look like this. Now, let's pick somewhere else, okay? So we just saw this. Florida's pretty incredible right now. Let's pick North Dakota. Wow. That's what we've got in North Dakota right now. Sprouts, which are being grown inside. Salsify, a root vegetable. Rapini, which is a version of a cousin of broccoli. And horseradish, another root vegetable. That's it. Check out Ohio. Why not? Okay, similar. We've got those sprouts, the salsify, rapini, horseradish. They've got a little shallots and mushrooms now. Okay, pretty limited when you think about it, right? If you were cooking seasonally, how do you do this? Well, again, we go back to that concept of cold storage. Because guess what? Guess where beans are? Beans are. They weren't harvested, but they're dried and ready to go, right? Those are preserved for later. That's why preservation, which we're going to be talking about next week, is so integral to eating seasonally, because you preserve those in the season and then later you use them. Pickles, sauces, jams, etc., etc. Okay. I'll put this link in the chat right now because it's interesting. There are a few other websites out there that are going to, there's one from the USDA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but different, you might have slight changes and slight variances within what they're saying is available or not. But the point is, when you are cooking and eating in season, right, farm to table, that's the essence of this class, you're using what's available, right? You're taking it at the peak and you're highlighting it. There's a reason why certain fruits and vegetables are eaten during the winter time, right? Citrus fruit is coming in. Who would ever think that citrus fruit is a winter fruit? I know growing up, I thought it was a summer fruit, but it's actually winter. Persimmons, all these things, especially in different areas of the world, grow at different times in different places. Okay. And that is how we have tomatoes now that are coming from a warmer area to the, the cold areas. All right. Find out what's in your region, find out what's local. It's going to start to help you clue you into certain things, right? What's going to be fresher, what's not as fresh. All right, let's clank this up. So this week's assignment is really not just about eating in season. It is about utilizing all parts, okay? Has anybody ever, now Sandra, I know Sandra grows her own vegetables, so she knows what broccoli looks like. But I'm going to show a photo. Does anybody know what broccoli looks like when it's on the stem? Because we get it and it's just this little tight cluster of buds and a stalk, right? Well, what if I told you that this is what broccoli looks like? Okay, see these leaves? Guess what? Those leaves are edible and insanely delicious. Okay, really, really beautiful. Excellent in a stir fry, or I know Chef Greg's going to say turn it into some kimchi with those cauliflower leaves, right, Chef?
I was going to say that.
I thought so. I know. This is what happens after a year. So, totally edible. Let's start thinking about other parts of vegetables that are edible that we don't necessarily think about. I'm just going to bring up some visuals for you guys. Carrots, something we're really familiar with, right? Guess what? Those carrot tops, edible. Okay. Beets. Guess what? Beet leaves, edible. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, let's talk. Oh yeah, cauliflower. Oh, that's for later actually. Check this out. What recipes? What do recipes usually call for leeks?
Potato leek soup.
Yeah, that's a good example. But what part of the leek is used in the recipes generally?
The stem.
The stem. Is it the white part, the green part?
The lower part, the white area.
The white and pale green, right. Okay, so what about all of this deliciousness up here, this dark green?
Use it for stock.
You could use it for stock, but you can also use it actually cooking, okay? If cooked properly, sliced correctly, the reason why it's not used is because it's fibrous, okay? It's a little bit tougher than down here, okay? But cooked properly, again, we go back to technique, and sliced thinly, it's incredible, and it adds a load of flavor, okay? So start thinking about outside the box. Here's one last thing that I want to share with you all. Has anybody, okay, we're obviously growing some herbs right now in class. Has anybody ever seen chives, and when they bloom and they have these purple flowers on that? Has anybody ever seen that? Let me visual up here for you. Or has anybody ever seen when herbs start to flower? Who's ever seen that? And we're taught, oh, that's bad. Guess what? This is edible. Those blossoms, those blooms, edible, and they have a very subtle hint of onion, of that chive. It's not as aggressive as the actual chive that we're familiar with, but the chive blossom, unreal. You sprinkle that up, you have this beautiful purple color on a plate, and you have this nice soft aroma of onion. So this is true for actually basil leaves and rosemary flowers and rosemary flowers. The list goes on, and it adds this different layer of flavor. So, yes, Chef.
Also, I was going to say pollen as well, like fennel pollen or dill pollen is definitely used a lot as well. It is the pollination, but that's used a ton in cooking. And it's just something edible. It has subtle flavors. It's not just extremely, extremely strong. But again, that's something that's completely edible that we wouldn't really think about eating or having on a dish, but it definitely adds a lot of flavor.
Exactly. So start opening those minds and seeing what what is edible that we're throwing out or that we're not utilizing. Because guess what? Profitability. All right. You take a part that's normally discarded and you turn it into profit. Okay. Somebody thinks something is waste when it's not. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions about this? Is anybody excited to try some parts of a vegetable that they might not have thought was edible for? Because those cauliflower stems, also edible. The base of the leaves that are coming up, let me get another visual for you guys. Okay, here we go. Yeah, guess what? Again, those leaves, totally edible. Look at this. This is wild. Look at how big that is. That's awesome. And those leaves are edible. Okay? Pretty impressive. So when you get those leaves on the outside of your cauliflower, as long as they're not too dirty or scuffed up, slice them up, cook them up. What about the stalks in broccoli? Your broccoli stalk, right? Also edible. The world becomes a lot more tasty when you realize how many other things you can eat. Similar to offal, right? We think these parts are done and they're waste. They're not. They offer nutritional value, they offer flavor, and they offer different texture and a slight variation on the main product, right? Your carrot tops, your beet leaves, how do they taste? It's also gonna, all of that. So it's really cool. All right, class. This week, I was saying we are going to be making cauliflower, and we're going to get into that a little bit right now. So, like I said, pick three of the following. All right, let's just run over these and pick out any little. I'll save that one for last. Pick out any things. So, this one's awesome. Cauliflower steak. Has anybody seen that on a menu yet, or heard about that, or seen how cauliflower is everywhere? Cauliflower pizza crust, cauliflower rice.
Yes, I've heard a lot of it for keto diets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, because it essentially is like a carbohydrate replacer. I want to show you what a cauliflower steak can look like, because this is pretty cool. Here we go. Look how it can be presented. You have two options. You can either slice it long ways, like horizontal, or vertically. You're gonna get different print. So this, they've taken that middle cut of the cauliflower. That's how you get that nice steak. Okay, if you cut it the other way, you also get a nice angle. You'll have a center with the florets going out. Now, something to note, when you're prepping your cauliflower, have a plan in place. If you need to make cauliflower steaks, and you're also making 2 other dishes of cauliflower, you need to get those steaks. So make those cuts first. Take those out. Then you have the florets on the other sides to work with. Okay? Let's see if there's another one. I think there usually is. I think it looks like it is. Yeah, this is when it's sliced down horizontally. All right, you've got that main stalk and then all the florets on the outside. So either way, it's gonna be great. And you have a bunch of ways of how you can cook this up. You can sear it, you can grill it. Let's see what else. Where are we? Sorry. There we go. This is really simple and straightforward. So grill, broil, or pan sear. All right. If you need to reduce the amounts that you're making for all of these recipes, that is okay. If you can do, 2 of those steaks, that is also okay. All right. We do want to see more than 1, but you don't necessarily have to do all 4. all right, especially considering how much you're going to make. Now, let's hop into one of the most delicious things ever, cauliflower puree. This is heaven in a spoon. It is also a great replacement. It's a little bit, doesn't have as much structure as pomme puree, okay? Remember back in CU101, you're making pomme puree, okay? Almost identical, right? You've got cauliflower that you're going to boil to get to tender, all right? And then draining those and using chicken stock or veg stock or even actually the water that you cooked the cauliflower in could be used in that, okay? And add butter and cream, salt and pepper, a little bit of lemon juice to help maintain everything, and voila. This is silky and extremely smooth. Notice it says cauliflower cut up, all right? That's again why we're saying steaks, then the residual, right? Because it doesn't matter. You don't need a steak shape for this assignment. It's all getting pureed. So the little bits, great, toss them in, all right? The next assignment option is, cauliflower au gratin. What's that? Wait, hold on 1 second. I think I don't have it up. Gratin, though. Does everybody remember the cauliflower? What does gratin mean? Potatoes au gratin? Anybody know? Au gratin? Gratin?
There's two methods, boiling and then baking.
But the gratin, that top.
Wasn't that with cheese and cream?
Cheese and breadcrumbs and cream it could be, yeah. So to get that au gratin top, right? The gratiné, that's what we're talking about, okay? So again, similar to a potato dish you will have made most likely before. And here we go. Cauliflower gratin, all right? Now, again, take note. Separate the cauliflower into florets. You're using the florets here. So you want to have some bigger pieces, not all those little small ones. All right. You're going to boil those, okay, just until tender, because then you are going to bechamel or mornay. You've got that choice, right? You can make it mornay if you'd like. All right. But you're making bechamel and covering that with the sauce, the breadcrumbs, a little bit of cheese, and a little bit of butter. And then that goes into the oven, and you want to get nice, crispy, brown, golden brown coloring on top. It adds texture because, right, you've got a creamy sauce. Cauliflower is not going to have as much structure. Now, you want to keep those tender so that way when they go into the oven, they don't overcook and become mush. But we really want to get that nice color. If you don't get the color, throw it onto the salamander or AKA the broiler. Okay, salamander is the term that's used in the industry for essentially awesome broiler. All right, it's just, if you ever had the chance to use it, you can melt cheese, toast things in a nick of a time, all right? So that is option number 3. Now, the piece de resistance, all right, is cauliflower press. This one is for those that want to challenge themselves and say, hey, I want to do this. I want to push myself, all right? Here we go. We've got a lot of steps here. I'm not going to go over all of them. I want to tell you and point out the important things, which is if you cannot find agar, you can substitute gelatin. Okay, so what this ends up looking like, let me actually just pull this up. I am going to, it's in the Gislin book. Let me pull it up. But you can also, if you didn't have all of these, you could still make a the cauliflower press without, say, if you didn't have tarragon, you could substitute another herb, okay? But again, this is a multi-step process. It's delicious, and it is definitely unique, and it's definitely going to push your boundaries if you haven't ever attempted anything like this, because you're going to set this mold. And additionally, you don't need to have some fancy mold, okay? You can use any type of mold, all right? You can make it out of a muffin tin. That could be a mold, or you could do it in a pan and then cut slices, okay? But let me just get this pulled up for you all. Does anybody have any questions on these recipes that we've covered so far, or what is required? Chef, was there anything that you wanted to?
Yeah, while you're bringing that up, can I show the assignment page?
Yeah, thanks.
Make a couple of notes on there.
Yes, thank you, Chef.
You are welcome. All right, everybody. So this is your assignment page. So again, you are doing 3 of the 4, whatever 3 that you would like to do. So a couple of really important photos on here. Chef was talking a lot about whole product usage. So on cauliflower steak, if you choose to do that, photo number 4, it says miscellaneous trim pieces reserved for other usage. That's really our sustainability part of this assignment. That could be a little bit of the root piece. It could be the leaves, depending on how you buy your cauliflower. It could be scraps from the florets. Whatever comes off of that, that's going to be this photo. So that's our sustainability part. And then when we get down into the gratin part, so the bechamel is a sub recipe of the gratin. You need to make the bechamel, of course, to make the gratin. So you're going to show that in here as well. You're going to show a roux, proper roux, adding in your milk, and then show a finished bechamel product as well. And then into step number 9, that's when you mix the cauliflower with the bechamel before it goes into the oven. So you will show both of those into the gratin if you choose to do that. I'm sure Chef's going to talk about it a little bit more after she shows you the press, but we did cover it a second ago in the chat. If for any reason you couldn't find agar, find something like plain gelatin. That company Knox, it's kind of like an orange box. You'll see that in every grocery store. You'd want to use that. Just remember, agar is a lot more powerful than gelatin. So use the same amount, and then just the tiniest little bit about more, like a half a teaspoon more of gelatin, just to kind of compensate for the difference in the power that it could gelatinize. And those, I think, are the big ones. Puree is pretty straightforward. Gratin is pretty straightforward too. You're just showing the sauce built in. Steaks we already covered, and then Chef will show the rest of the press. So you ready? You're on mute, Chef.
Thank you. My PDF is taking a long time to load, so I will get that up. But I did want to bring up something else in the meantime, which is showing you exactly what's up with the bechamel. So here we go. As you can see, this recipe yields 1 gallon. Okay, yield 1 gallon. Okay, and if we pull up the cauliflower gratin, you'll see that you need only 6 ounces of bechamel or mornay. Okay, so that means you need to do some converting, right? So, oh, I got it, perfect. So the important thing with that, make a half gallon. You could go down to a quarter gallon. That would be all right as well. All you have to do, if you're making a half gallon, divide everything by 2. Okay? If you're making a quarter gallon, divide everything by 4. Because you don't need all of it. Now, having some bechamel on hand, not a bad thing. If you want to go big and you want to make a gallon, you got an event coming up, you want to utilize it or make something else, go for it. Otherwise, reduce that size of your bechamel, okay? And you'll have enough. The nutmeg is really exceptional. If you haven't started exploring with nutmeg and cream work together like you wouldn't believe, okay? That hint of nutmeg really elevates and changes the flavor profile of your bechamel. If you don't have the nutmeg, yes, of course you can omit it. However, if you have it, please use it because it's wonderful. White pepper, again, that's really more about the appearance, right? Because bechamel is a white sauce. So to have black flecks in that would not be appealing visually, right? Remember, old school classic cuisine, all right? If you don't have white pepper for some reason, you ran out of it, you used it, you could substitute black pepper. That is okay. But know that, or just simply omit and not have that pepper background if you want to keep that color clean and pure. Okay. So now let me show you the cauliflower press. 1 second. Get it coming up. I just got my Gislin to load, which also, guys and gals, if you're not taking advantage of your, man, it is slow tonight. Taking advantage of that Gislin book, please do. There are great recipes in there. Refresh your memory on stuff that you learned in other classes. It will help you in the long run. Your basic book is your guideline, okay? And here we go. I've got the press. So this right there, okay? This is what it ends up looking like. Well, it could potentially look like that. As you can see, it's holding that mold. That mold and shape is held together by that agar-agar or the gelatin. That's what's keeping it firm and set. Because when you make cauliflower puree, you will see how loose it is, okay? How it has very minimal structure once you've pureed this. However, by adding the gelatin, the agar-agar, you give structure to it. That's what allows you to hold this. So pretty cool, looks really neat. Like I said, this is elevated cuisine. This is something that you're going to find at a fine dining restaurant. Okay, you're not going to find that at your local, family grub dinner or diner. Okay, so if you want to challenge yourself, I highly suggest doing it. If you can get your hands on some gelatin, push yourself. Do it. We had one student a couple blocks ago who actually made all 4. You're of course open to that as well, and presented them all together on a plate, and it was absolutely lovely. Another thing to note, you're making a cauliflower steak, all right? What are you gonna serve that with? We of course wanna see your product, but think about it. What could be a great thing? Think back to even, let's say week 1, your herb condiments. Gremolata would be really nice. Add a nice hit of a little acid and garlic, kind of bring up that cauliflower steak, right? Again, let's go back into those visuals of what we had on, where the heck did it go? Let me pull this up. Remember, we still want to be working on presentation, okay? So again, last 4 weeks of class, think about how you want to present everything, all right? Look at that. All right, sure, you can throw a cauliflower steak on a plate, sure, but look at that. Some nice green sauce, maybe a little bit of heat, something, right? This one is on, looks like a bed of cauliflower puree. That would be a wonderful way to showcase both of these, right? And you get those textural differences, okay? Lots of different ways. You could have a dipping sauce, whatever you want. But think about how you want to present that. Chef, I mean, just do a Google search, get some inspiration. Smoky cauliflower steak, interesting, all right? So, Chef, was there anything else that we needed to cover?
I don't believe so. One thing I did want to know about the makeup assignments.
Yes.
So makeup assignments close. You have to have everything in, done, resubmits, everything the same day and time that week 11 is due. And then everything closes out. So if you do have makeups, just think about it. Now you'll be making a couple of assignments per week. So this assignment has 4 parts to it. If you have to do a makeup, that may have 2 parts to it. That's 6 parts. So make sure you start to work on that now and get those in. That way it's all set in there. If for any reason you missed week 6, remember that one's pretty straightforward and easy. That's a good way to get some points back. But please do remember that when week 11 hits, it's the same time and then everything closes out for us. So if you need to get makeups in, I recommend getting them earlier. If you need to do a resubmit, you'll have a lot of time to do so. If we write right up into that Tuesday deadline and missed a couple of photos, that's what we got. So please do get those in.
Indeed. Okay. Well, class, let's keep pushing. We're at the end of we're nearing the end of the block. It's gonna creep up on us really quickly. I don't know about you guys, but this week blew by me like a leaf in the wind. So let's rock and roll. Let's stay strong. Let's push through. If you've got questions, if things are coming up, reach out now, reach out when it happens so we can help you. And enjoy this assignment because it is really cool and really unique to see how very different the textures, okay? When you're doing your narrative and production sheet, we want to see, talk to us about those textural differences. You're cooking all of these in slightly different methods and then preparing them in different ways. You're gonna have this really smooth creaminess with the puree. You're going to have a crunch to that seared cauliflower steak. You're gonna have tender and juicy and robust au gratin with a crispy touch on top, okay? That cauliflower press is also gonna have a very different texture. All right, so enjoy this, see how fun it can be. Start thinking creatively and out of the box and how you can take one product and prepare it in multiple ways. Otherwise, everybody have a wonderful week. Let's see one another next week. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. Hopefully it's good. And that's it. Yeah, Chef. Were you? Oh.
Me?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something.
No, the camera popped back off. That's all.
Oh, okay. Well, good to see you back. All righty, class. Have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.